The final one, and one of my favorite that I love doing every few months or so when these stimulating, stressful distractions creep back into my life, is doing a stimulation fast. Now, this is also sometimes referred to as dopamine fasting, but the term dopamine fast is a complete misnomer. We can't fast from dopamine. Our body needs dopamine to function biologically. But because we tend to so much novelty all day long, especially in the digital world, we spend over 13 hours a day looking at various screens of different shapes and sizes. That's a lot of novelty, it's a lot of stimulation. So, one of the best things that we can do is a stimulation fast where we go without these empty sources of novelty in our days. So, there's 4 steps to doing one. First, identify that dopamine driven novelty that you wish to eliminate from your days. The novelty that, because it leads you to anticipate and not experience things in the moment, leads to a satisfactional emptiness afterwards. The social media, the news, the applications that are in that stable of apps that you kind of bounce between on autopilot mode. Then identify some substitutes. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this particular experiment because you get to choose what you welcome into your life instead of this novelty. Analog habits that you haven't picked up in a while, instruments that you haven't played in a long time, good hard cover books that you've been meaning to crack open. Then you choose a duration. I like to do this for about a period of a month. Now, it might sound like a long time, but after the first week, it becomes immensely enjoyable. And you get to experience the benefits for longer and actually form habits around this ritual. And then notice what changes. Do you have a longer attention span? Can you focus with relative ease on what's in front of you? The interesting thing about the things that we pay attention to on a daily basis is every single one of them lives at a different altitude of stimulation. We can kind of chart them in a way where the more novel something is, the more dopamine something releases, the higher it is on this chart. So maybe at the very top, we've got YouTube, Instagram, bodies and lifestyles, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, of course, is below the others, but it's still pretty high. We have analog things, alcohol, cannabis, processed takeout is near the top two that lead to this dopamine surge. Then we have the calmer things. All right, family time, photography, playing piano, cooking, and of course, meditation, more boring than the other things, for good reason, at the very bottom here. Email is up near the top. Online shopping, giving talks. Hi. Checking book sales. I've populated this with my own my own things. Retail shopping might be a bit lower. Writing, reading research papers is there too. Bookkeeping near the bottom. Now, we all have an average height of stimulation that is determined by the things that we pay attention to on a daily basis. In general, we don't want to come down. If we're flying at a high altitude, maybe because we tend to a stable of applications first thing in the morning, we want to keep flying there. There's a natural updraft in this. But over time, the meaning, the satisfaction, the enjoying the here and now comes from the slower things in our days. It comes from the things that are less stimulating, that lead us to feel present and connected and calm. And so what this stimulation fast does is it takes that top band of activities up there and eliminates them. And in doing so, We adjust our stimulation height downward. Look at the activities that are left. How differently do you feel playing the piano, reading a hardcover book, calling up a friend on the phone? How do those activities make you feel relative to being on social media? Drinking a cup of coffee. After taking that first sip of coffee in the morning, we may just like exhale an ah, just fully appreciating it. We never do the same after checking Instagram. This is where satisfaction comes from. And I noticed this manifesting in simple moments of my day. Everything from meditation to bookkeeping. At the start of this experiment, I noticed that there's a pile of receipts on my desk that was there for a month or two before my first stimulation fast. And it felt just effortless to get through them, to do work that I found more meaningful. So that is a third idea for you all, the stimulation fast.